I'm going to go over the true cost of college for student loans, and I'm also going to go over my advice and my story about picking a career path. I'll put chapters down below, so that way you can skip to whatever you want to listen to or skip through it, but be prepared. This is going to be very transparent and a little bit thorough, especially for the student loans portion. I changed my college degree program 3 times. I also left college. I also joined the military. And then eventually I graduated 12 years after starting college. So, I guess a little bit of background. I grew up in Philly in an old Craftex factory my dad had purchased. My dad worked on cars, so I grew up with cars and working on cars with my dad. Obviously, I was a kid, it wasn't super intensive or anything like that, but that's pretty much how I grew up. So as I got older, I really liked sports, so I played a lot of sports. So I was just like, in high school, I was like, I kind of want to be a physical therapist. By the time I hit my junior year of high school, I was like, no, I want to be an aerospace engineer. I want to work on aircraft and eventually, hopefully, fly them. So I remember there was a representative from the Air Force Academy that came, and he was actually a pilot. And he came to my school and he was asking people like, oh, do you have questions? And like I was asking questions and all this other stuff. My grades not match where I needed to be to go to the Air Force Academy, so obviously that was never going to happen. And I was just like, oh, cool, well, I don't really want to go to the Air Force Academy. I want to go to like a normal college. I'll go to a college, I'll do the Air Force ROTC program, and then I'll go in the Air Force. Well, fast forward, I go to Penn State, I get in, I'm pretty sure I got into U Park first, and then that's like in the center of Pennsylvania, and I was like, now I need to be closer to home, and I transferred over to their Abington campus, and then I was like, wait, there's no dorms there. Where am I going to live? So then I transferred to Penn State, Hazleton. And I went there, and it turned out they didn't have an Air Force ROTC program. And you would have to go to another university that was like 45 minutes away. And I was like, oh crap, like that's not happening. I don't drive. I'm from Philly. There's buses, so I don't have a car or nothing. So I did, after my first year, I went into Army ROTC, which my dad was in the Army as well. He was in Vietnam, so military background as well. So I went into Army ROTC. I did 3 semesters of that because I ended up becoming an MS3. And I was like, nah, I'm joining the real Army. So I left school and I joined the Army. And I went to training and all that jazz. I came back, I reported to my unit, and I was like, well, right before I came back, I was like, I want to do cybersecurity. I was a combat medic in the Army, guys. Don't ask me why. I suddenly got an interest in cybersecurity. I was dating someone at the time before I left for the military. He was doing kind of like a cyber course at Penn State, which is the degree program I ended up going into, which is information security. It's called security risk analysis at Penn State. It's now being replaced by a cybersecurity, like more programming intensive courses now. And with that degree program, it's obviously a little bit different. But anyway, that was the first time I ever heard of cybersecurity. Like, I grew up in Philly, immigrant parents, like I had computers I played with and stuff, but cybersecurity was like something I didn't know existed, like whatsoever. Like, I liked computers. I liked doing a lot of things with computers and repairing them and playing around and building things, but I never knew cybersecurity existed. I never had an interest to go into IT. So it was kind of just out of nowhere. I was just like, I want to do cybersecurity. And everybody was like, that's so different. And I was like, I don't see a difference. Which is weird to say, right? But like, when you have like a computer system and the way it operates and the way it functions, or even if you're pulling apart and putting it back together, I find a lot of similarities between the human body and a machine. So for some reason, to me, I still perceive it to not be very different. I truly don't. So that's at least my perception. I know a lot of people disagree, and that's fine. But to me, I was just like, yeah, whatever. It's the same thing. Aerospace engineering, machinery, cars, aircraft. I see the same thing. Human body, machines. I don't see that much difference. But I also tend to be a person that has worked in a few different career fields and can just hop over to them. So I think I naturally have a tendency to see a lot of similarities. And I tend to be able to kind of like use what I know and apply it elsewhere. So because of that reason, changing my degree program, changing where I wanted to go in life was not difficult. So I went to school originally for aerospace engineering, then I went into kines, tried to go into aerospace, was like, this can take a bunch of years of math. No. Left, joined the military, was like, okay, come back, cybersecurity. Came back, turned out I could not do cybersecurity at Penn State U Park, and I would have to transfer to a Commonwealth campus, which is just like another one of their satellite campuses, or go to World Campus. But they didn't bother to tell me that after putting in an email and telling me, yes, I can come back for the degree program and take the courses, schedule it with me. Well, they told me months later, oh no, that's actually incorrect. You have too many credits. It's too late for you to enter a major, transfer to a Commonwealth or World Campus. I already signed an apartment lease. I already renewed that apartment lease for the next year. And I was like, the other campuses are hours away. I don't even drive. Like, that's not happening. So I ended up going to World Campus. So I took my classes online. I ended up getting like a part-time job at Penn State, doing like IT type work in like the computer labs and stuff. And then I ended up like doing a few different jobs with them, do a bunch of hours, anywhere up to 40 hours, depending on the week, what's available. Then I ended up getting a job at Penn State, and then I ended up getting the job I have now, and it's all IT. So I finally graduated this past May 2024. I had Penn State paying for my classes when I went to school, so I took one class a semester because that's all that like they signed off on, and it was, well, it wasn't fully paid, it was 75% off, so I paid 25%. So I thought it was worth it. Take one class at a time, whatever. And then when I went to my current job, I did the same thing. I was like, okay, you guys are willing to pay for like one or two classes a semester. That's all I'm gonna do, right? Because like I don't want to pay it, which I paid up front. They reimburse you. So I did that. So I finally graduated in May. I started in 2012. So I graduated 12 years later, and I have my degree in cybersecurity. So I feel like college tends to put people in a not so great situation, because unless you know what it is that you want to do and you have the money to do whatever it is you want to do, it's gonna set you up for a bit of failure or financial struggle when you finally do go to school. Hopefully you find a degree program that you want to do long term, or you try a bunch of things like I did until you finally found what it is you wanted, or you graduate with something you don't want to work in. So I think it's really important to try to figure out like kind of what you're interested in, and you don't have to do like that exact thing. Like, you know how I say, oh, like I see it as kind of similar things. Like there's a method, there's a system to how a computer operates. There's a system to securing something. There's a system to fixing an injury in the human body. There's a system to building a car, building machinery. There's a system to aircraft. So I like to always tell people like I like systems. And so that's why I find interest in these different areas, is that they have a system that I can understand. They have a system that I can see myself taking a look at what's going on, how to make it better. So because of that, I kind of figured out what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Or maybe you don't, because it's a little It's a bit vague, but it makes perfect sense to me. So I think you need to find what makes perfect sense to you, which may be unexplainable. But the only way to find something that you want to do is to try it. So that means you have to try a lot of things. And it's going to be time consuming, but it's also worth it. The other thing I want to say too is that I have a lot of things I'm interested in. Obviously, look at the different career paths I started down. And I don't want you guys to believe that you have to always pursue your passions as a career, okay? One of the biggest things I try to tell my friends or anyone I talk to that might have any questions is find something that you can do, tolerate, and be good at. Because your job can fund whatever it is you're passionate about. So let's say for whatever reason cybersecurity was not a field that you can really make money and all this other stuff, I would probably go into business. I would probably do something else along the lines of business. Or maybe I'd do something else I'm interested in, like photography. And I'd use it to fund my training and hobby in cybersecurity. And yes, it's not exactly what I want to do, but if it funds what I want to do on the side, I'll still be happy enough, right? I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, pursue your passion, and then they end up doing or degree programs and stuff in a field that's not profitable. You have student loans, or you'll have permanent financial problems by pursuing your passion, and they're setting you up for failure by telling you to do that. Where I think it's more important for you to pursue something that can fund your passion. You can eventually also divert into that. Okay, so even though I say you can do it on the side, you can do it as an independent contractor, right? You could do side work. You have side gigs. Because having one stream of income is also not a great idea. I have multiple streams of income. I don't just have my job's income. And I've always been that way. I did Uber driving, I did Lyft driving, I did donations, I did pet sitting, I did bartending, I did all this stuff as a side gig. And then I also had a full-time job. And I also had school. So you can still make money from your passion. You can still put a lot of time and energy into it, but don't always just pursue your dreams and your passion. Find something that will instead fund your dreams and passion so that maybe you can make it a business where eventually maybe you don't have to work for someone else. I think that's much better advice than what other people are saying. I'm not gonna lie, what I chose to go to school for were kind of all profitable careers. So that wasn't necessarily a concern for me, but I wish I would have known to try more things at a faster pace than ending up graduating 12 years later. Not that it really mattered. I've been working in IT for 8 years now, if not more. So not really a big deal. But I kind of wish I would have fastened the pace a little bit so that way I could have learned more. So I could have gotten more expertise. And at least in my field for cybersecurity, there is not just a cybersecurity job. There is a bunch of different jobs. And you need to know maybe not completely different. I don't want to say that. That would be incorrect. You need to know different information for each. A lot of it is stuff that you need to know across the board. That's the foundation. But when you go from one role to another, typically it's different enough that you're like, I really need to study, or I really need to know this piece of software, or I really need to learn how to program in this language or script in this. So having had maybe fast and pace my interest in it probably would have gotten me a lot further than where I'm at today. Where now I know more of what I want to do definitely compared to before, but if I would have known sooner, I could have gone down that path sooner. So exposure to things is ultimately a big determination of the timeline of your success. It can also be the determination of your success or lack thereof success, but the timeline it takes you to do something can change very drastically. Which is why I'm trying to make this channel about, building habits, doing the things that you need to do, even when you don't want to. Like, I don't even want to make a video today. I'm going to do it because I have information I want to share that might help somebody. And I'm doing this to help people because I also have an inherent interest in helping people. And if you think about everything that I chose in life or wanted to do, that's also at the foundation of it, is I like to help people. I don't feel happy or content or feel like I have any purpose in life at all whatsoever unless I help people. And I notice that when I am the most unmotivated and the least happy is when I haven't done something for others, right? So, this is the point of this YouTube channel. Okay? Growing up, I didn't have anybody to really ready me for the world. I'm gonna be honest with you. There was a few people that kind of like tried, but no one actually helped me. Nobody taught me finances. No one taught me about, careers, jobs. No one exposed me to like the real world. And so I know even growing up, like everybody used to always tell me like, oh, like you seem like you're so independent, like your family's not really there. Like no one's really there to support you. And it's like, some people tried, but that is facts. So everything I learned the hard way. And I wish somebody would have taught me this. Like, for real. And like, there's even things that I learned, a few weeks ago. Like, you never stop learning in life. And one of the big things I like to tell people is that you were the sum of your environment, right? So everything that you're exposed to, everything you went through, everything that's around you is what ultimately determines your perception, your opinions, your ideals, your preferences. It sums up what you know for knowledge. You only know what you're exposed to. You're literally a byproduct of your environment. So hopefully I can expose you to some things you might not have heard of or might not have thought about. Or maybe you seem kind of differently. Or you can just be like, Vera, you're dead wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It is what it is. Life's about learning and getting better, right? So, it is my hope to assist in your growth. I wish I did not take out so many student loans. Let me tell you, do not take out them student loans. Because that's one of the things I learned, especially, like I knew, right? We all know, right? Like taking out student loans, like they're so predatory and you're going to be paying them back for like ever. And obviously the interest is going to cost you a lot. But it was not until a few months ago that I actually calculated the sheer amount of the cost. Okay? Let me tell you, the paperwork I signed, let's shed, oh, this is going to be the total cost, was in fact not the total cost. And legally, you can't necessarily sue them for it either. So I think that's going to be another video to talk about. Unless I decide to include it in this one. I don't know. I haven't really thought about how I'm going to show you and show how to calculate it either. Your loan company will not actually really show you that truly, to be honest. Especially if you use something like Sallie Mae. Anyway, I have Sallie Mae student loans, and I have been putting all of my money on them to try to get rid of them as soon as possible, which I set myself for the achievement of paying them off in 9 months, which I don't have the paper there that I did have, and I don't know where to put it. But my goal is to pay off in 9 months. And I was obviously, oh, that's strange. I was doing very well, but this month I decided to pay off medical bills because I had a bunch of doctor's visits and order Christmas decorations and do Christmas presents. So, and order stuff for my birthday. So, I'm not making extra payments on it this month like I wanted to. So, I messed up this month. And I'm very frustrated with myself about that. But I'm also like, it would have happened for December anyway, because Christmas is, you know, as we all know, one of those expensive months. So it's okay. And my birthday is the same month as Christmas, so naturally that's going to be a problem. But I'm trying to think how I'm going to show it. I hate that these calculators, I'm calling you out, Sallie Mae, are very annoyingly. Be careful with what I said because they're going to get mad. They're not fully transparent. They're not inherently useful. They are seemingly created in a way to not give you accurate and total information. And I highly dislike that because of the lack of transparency. Because you are setting people up for failure. That one loan, I'm trying to figure out. It's $514 a month, I think it's total for mine. See, I don't like those. That's fine. I'm not even going to show the calculator. If you have Sallie Mae, don't bother to use the calculator. I'm going to show you what you actually need to look up. And I don't have any other student loan providers, so I can't show you guys anything else. But I do want to make it very clear how much they play games with this. Okay, so I'm actually wondering if I should screenshot this or I should record this on my computer and have this running to make it easier. We'll do that. Huh? Why isn't that? Oi. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in a different. Okay. So what I should be showing you guys is the total student loan, which I have right now. After I just made a monthly payment, I have a total of $29,818.79. As you can see here, I have 4 different loans. They have a different loan ID than the account number. Not really sure why they do that. Maybe it's easier to identify when you call them. My first loan has an $8,440 balance and 17 cents. My second one is $6,609.86. My third one is $85,039.31. And the last one is $6,229.45. You're probably wondering why I changed, and it's because I watched the video over. It's the next day, and a bunch of stuff did not record properly, and the audio is terrible. So we're going to start over so I can actually show you what I'm doing. So since I recorded this video yesterday, I already have the breakdown of literally everything I talked about right here. But I'm going to redo it because I want you guys to actually understand. So what I'm going to do is essentially recreate it real quick. But I'm going to remove all of these. That way I can show you how I added it and where I got my information from. And we'll just kind of move this out of the way to go from there. Okay, so I put my loans in order of the one with the highest amount and the highest interest at the time I started paying them off, which I started paying them off this past September, and we're now in November. So the first loan I'm going to look at is the loan with this identifier, which isn't the loan number, but that's the number that they use to identify it, so it's easier to understand. And what I'm doing, if I can scroll down, I'll show you guys. So whether or not you have Sallie Mae, obviously depends if you have Sallie Mae or not, but typically what you can do is you can go in here, you can select whichever loan you're looking at, even on whatever account you're looking at, and you should be able to you look at that accrued interest. Otherwise, it'll be on like your billing statement each month. But what I'm mainly looking at here is I had in-school deferment, so I didn't have that much interest rates while I was in college, which I graduated in May. So May is going to be like the cheaper month for me, which remained pretty consistent. So I was paying an interest every month. I was only paying at that time $53.27. After graduating, my interest rate went into full repayment, which is where these individual interest rates came in, which is obviously very high. Like 12.375 is high. So it was 11.875, and 5% is my lowest, which is still pretty high, but not as high as the other ones, obviously. Now, I do want to note, these are not the interest rates that are on my contract with them, so I need to contact them because they suddenly went up this month. So I do want to say that if you have student loans, make sure you take a look every month to ensure they're actually charging you correctly, because I'm pretty sure legally they can't just change a fixed interest rate on me. This one went up because this is my variable interest rate, so it went up 0.25%. I signed variable, that means it's whatever they want to charge, up to a certain amount on the contract. But these three went up, so I just want to remind you guys to take a look at your accounts just in case. Because you don't want to be overcharged and you don't want them to essentially steal money from you. But moving on, so I can show you guys what I'm talking about, is going into the month of August, which is going to probably give me the most information about if I didn't put extra money on my student loans, I would have been paying a lot more interest. So I guess I didn't go over this yet. So at graduation, these are the amounts I owed on each loan. This is what I currently now have due in the month of November because I've been putting all of my money onto them. So I paid off like quite a bit. So the interest rate at graduation, once I finally hit repayment, is being reflected at its accurate level for the month of August, is finally when the account kind of caught up. So if I did not make extra payments, I would have been paying every single month $177.12 in interest. Which is what I'm going to put as my previous monthly interest, just to show like what not paying extra on your loans will end up doing to you. And then I'll show you right here real quick, my minimum monthly payment on this student loan, no matter how much I owe, until I pay off the loan in full, because it doesn't decrease the amount I owe just because I have less on the loan, is $186.14. So every month I was only paying $9.02 towards the principal. Everything else was going towards interest. That's how ridiculous that is. Now, if we go into my other student loan, which will go into 9043, we'll see here again, in May, it was like $40. And then once August hit, it turned into $133.54. And that's just interest. Now if we go into the next one, we'll see at graduation, I was paying about $27 in interest. And once August hit, it went up to $151.20. Wait, did I add an extra month? Sorry, that math is incorrect. 0.49. It went up to $83.76, which is still too much, to be honest. I need to validate that because I feel like I might have hit something wrong. Okay, so I feel like my math ain't mathin'. Hold on. I don't want to be wrong on this. $83.76. And then my last and final student loan, thankfully, was charging me about $26 a month in interest at right before graduation, and is now accumulated to about $27, looks like. Which, like I said, this one went up in variable interest rate, so that one's going to be a little bit higher, but not too terribly high, just because it's lower interest rate, like 5%, compared to like the 12% and 11% that I have otherwise. So for my current monthly interest, we'll start at this one. This is not an accurate reflection because like you see how it's went from the 14th to the 1st. I'm not really 100% sure what the interest is really gonna be, but because the previous amount was pretty much the same, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to use these three because it looks like they might have messed up, and since the interest rate went up, I'd rather over calculate than under calculate, so that way I kind of know what to expect. That's 5.24. So we'll say it's $38.66 for now. And then I'm going to go back through my loans again so I can get the current, which these two, wrong document, as you can see, these two bottom ones, I didn't really pay much on. I'm just doing the minimum payments because I'm doing the, we're definitely going to pause here because I forget what it's called. We're doing the avalanche payment method where I hit whatever is the highest amount, well, whatever is highest interest, and just paying everything lower after. So I'm mainly targeting to get rid of this one first, then this one, then I'll do this one, and then that one. So this one, like they look like they totally messed up on the interest they charged me in October or November. I'm not sure. So we're gonna go with the current interest rate of, that's a lot. You see how it went up? Ooh, that's terrible. All right. This is like so hard to look at. This is like ridiculously expensive for a student loan. And we're going to add this one up for the current monthly expected. That's $121.18, which at least is a little bit lower, but look how much I paid off to get just like $10 lower. Like, it's so crazy. And now we're gonna look at this one, which for some reason this one accumulated 4 times in 1 month. And this is like the crappy part about student loans, is that for most of them they accumulate interest day by day, so the way they charge you is kind of up in the air depending on the lender, and obviously like it's rough. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's literally crazy. I paid off over 50% of this student loan, and the interest still costs me $140 from $177. Like, interest is ridiculously impactful to your total amounts. Like, truly it is. And then we're gonna bring this back, which I noticed one of my numbers actually yesterday were wrong, and it was actually for, let's see, this one. So I'm gonna redo these. I'm so sorry that this is not the way it should be. I'll tell you, when I noticed that my stuff was all messed up, I would try to like catch up by just doing it and like adding it, and it was way too difficult because I didn't know what I was talking about half the time. All right, so like I mentioned earlier, my monthly payments don't change no matter if I pay these down to like $2, the monthly payment. Well, except for like if it's the last month, obviously I'm only going to pay $2, but at least for the monthly payment, it will not change until I have no more due. So I could have $1,000 left on the student loan and paid it off and have 20 years left on it, and they're still going to make me pay $186.14, if that makes sense. I don't want to confuse you guys. But since this is the monthly payment, and at the time of graduation, this was the amount of interest accumulated. So if I only made the minimum payment on that student loan, I'm going to subtract the interest out of that payment. I would only be paying off the student loan for $9.02. This is some highway robbery. Like, that's ridiculous, right? Now the next one, minimum payment's $140.70. Subtract the monthly interest at a time of graduation. I would only be paying $7.16 on this one. Let's go to the next one. $95.04 is the minimum payment, minus the previous at graduation interest. I would only be paying $11.28. Now for the last loan, minimum payment's $87.55. Take away the interest charge, and I would only be paying $3.79. So if we add all of that together, every month, even though I'm paying $509.43, I'm only actually paying $31.25, which means in order to even have the student loan, it costs me $478.18 to have the right to have a student loan, essentially. That's just ridiculous. So if we go to now my current interest, and I've paid off, I'm showing you this so that way I can show you how impactful it is even when you make a large payment on it, it still doesn't really help you pay that much on it. So I have paid now $13,961.21. It's actually September, I put it on here. And that puts me, for how much I'm paying on the principal, which is the actual loan amount, if we take the monthly payment, subtract the current interest rate that accumulates every single month that it costs me to even have the right for the loan, I am only paying $45.53 on this student loan. For the next one, we're going to do the same thing. I'm only now paying $19.52. For the next one, this is the one that I really want to show you guys. I told you that suddenly my interest rate increased, and I'm going to have to contact them about that because I want you to see how much this spiked up, because you can see it right here. Do you see how much higher than the student loan payment that is? That means every month I'm losing, and this loan is costing me an additional $23.68 on top of that $95, which makes this loan cost me this much. And I'm just accumulating more debt, which will turn into more interest. So this student loan would cost me a lot more in the long run because of that. And it's going to end up going into becoming more than the original loan amount, which is also going to damage my credit if I don't pay it down. And then we'll go into the next loan, which is the last one, thankfully, because this is so stressful. I'm going to subtract $38.66. This one's not too terrible because the interest rate is a lot friendlier, but not the best. And this is all I'm paying on it. Remember, I need to actually add a negative to that. So let's see how much I'm actually paying towards these loans. Now we need to subtract the $23.68 because that's a net loss, right? And then we're gonna re-add the very last one. This is not very good. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's because also this one here, I think I showed you guys here, which that logged me out, but you remember how, see, I don't want to cause you guys to have to go back. Okay, so you see how the interest is different here. This is going to be more of an accurate reflection of what it is just because I paid so much on it. But because it's not really consistent and I'm not 100% sure, I'm going with this number. Realistically, obviously, I'm saving a lot more interest every month than what I put here, which is going to be more in line with the amount I had on my previous one. But I'm not going to rely on that just yet because I'm a little uncomfortable with it. So back to my point of I'm only paying $90 and $26 on this loan, and I'm paying them to have the right to have this loan. $419.17. And that is why I wanted to make this video, to show you guys, because that interest is what's going to absolutely destroy your life. And if you already have it like I do, we're stuck with it. Obviously, try to make additional payments if you can on the principal, so that way your interest will be less impactful, because there's going to be a less principal amount for them to actually charge, because that compounding interest of day by day charging of interest rates that student loans and personal loans absolutely love doing costs you a lot, unless you're able to actually significantly pay them down. And realistically, like, we could use this one for an example, because like I told you, this one is probably going to be a lot less interest. This one I haven't really paid on much since I decreased it to here. But if you even look at this one dropping down, we'll do the original cost at time of graduation minus its current cost. So I paid $3,694.69, and the interest rate only decreased $133.54, subtracting 121.18. The interest rate only went down $12.36 after paying off $3,694.69. So I really want you guys to take this seriously. And if you haven't taken out student loans or you're thinking about it, I want you to really weigh this information, because life is way too expensive. And even if you have to take out the student loans, I want you to at least be aware and have a realistic expectation of what it's actually going to be like, especially when you don't have in-school deferment. So, yeah. So, that's what I wanted to go over. That's what I wanted to talk about. I hope that's helpful. I don't know how I'm going to fit this video into the previous video, but I'm pretty much going to try to piece it together. But, yeah. So this is the true cost of student loans. This is the true cost of education. So, yeah. This is what I want to warn you guys about. Because this is no joke. This is actually ridiculous. And also, as a warning, I'm showing you guys what it is, and I'm finding out they're moving my interest that's not in the contract that I have with them for 3 accounts. So now I'm going to go fight that battle with them. So, there goes my full transparency. My goal every month, which like I said, I'm not making it this month because I did a lot of shopping for the holidays, but I'm back on track next month again, is I'm paying $4,500 on them every month. But again, remember, if you do not have the money to do it, you simply cannot do it. So this is why it's very crucial to be careful with, you know, what you decide you want to do with your life, especially when you're paying for an education. Because this stresses me out. I have money to pay for it, but it still severely stresses me out, right? I can only imagine what the people who cannot afford to pay it, even if it's somebody that's watching this right now, what you're going through. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Luckily, my car is paid off, and I have no intention of replacing her. My car is a 2018. I don't care. Because this is crazy. This is literally insane. And yeah, I'm addicted to Bliss Sex Chopstick. So, I hope that I have made it a little bit more clear for you. And I hope I've made it a little bit more understandable of why I have the perception and why I feel the way I do about choosing what you want to do in life, and why I'm saying to do something that's a bit profitable and use it to fund the things you want to do is because the cost, it's so high. This cost is way too high. At least for me, my field, I can make that money. Otherwise, I don't know what I would do, because this is ridiculous. Like, I can tell you right now, from now, even after I pay these off, I'm never just gonna have my full-time job. I'm always gonna have side jobs. I'm always gonna have some kind of side gig, because this is just ridiculous, you know? What if I had like a super high medical bill? Need a loan for it. It's gonna be the same thing, right? It's gonna be high interest. It's gonna be huge payments. It's gonna be payments of making almost no freaking payments. Or if they increase your interest, legally or illegally, you're now at a deficit every month. On top of the fact that you're already losing the money that you're paying every month. Like, that's... Please be careful with what you do with your money, okay? Please be careful with the loans and things that you sign for. Please be careful with the career path that you decide on. I don't want people to stress out and be struggling, because life is not cheap and it's only getting more expensive. So, please, if you take anything from me, please take the habits that I'm trying to teach, so that way you can use the habits to build other things for yourself. And that's why I'm trying to do this. So, if you have any questions for me, let me know. Put them in the comments. I hope you like and subscribe if you're interested. I hope I didn't stress you out too much, but I need you guys to know, and I can only tell you guys by being transparent. Otherwise, I'm just talking, and it's not very, reliable or verifiable information. I wanted to actually show you guys and prove, hey, this is what we're looking at. This is what it is. So, I'm going to go de-stress. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. All right. Bye.